Good evening and thank you for tuning in to WTHR Plus or our simulcast Facebook stream. I want to get you up to date on some live coverage here of some storms that are continuing to push across central Indiana, continuing to trigger severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, these are the same storms that rolled through Indy, and I know some of you may be tuning in because you don't have power. You may be watching on your phone because the storms have already rolled through. We know there are a lot of power outages and some damage that's occurred into parts of Hamilton County and yes, even into Marion County. That same storm has continued to drift farther to the south. It has certainly weakened from what it was once before, but it is still strong enough that we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued. Let me go over that first. Still includes Johnson County. This is going to go until midnight for tonight. This also includes Shelby County as well as most of Bartholomew County. This is likely going to be impacting Columbus here, and I'll show you some traffic cameras of that here in just a moment. This is going to continue pushing to the south and east. It's not moving terribly fast, but it is moving fast enough that this should move through quickly enough that it'll have some heavy downpours, likely some gusty winds, and then things should calm down once it does move through. Let me remove that warning. Let's start by taking a look at some of the gusty winds that may be coming through with this as well. In fact, we already have some, we have an aerial flooded warning, by the way, in place also for Indianapolis from the heavy rain that came through earlier, and still some ongoing rain in those same areas that may have lost power. And again, I want to thank you for tuning in if you're watching on WTHR Plus, or I know some of you are also watching on our Facebook stream right now, because that may be the only way that you have way to find out what's happening, because you don't have power, you can't tune into the TV, you can't tune into WTHR Plus, or maybe your internet service has gone out because of the power outages. So again, I'm going to just try to walk you through. We are sitting at 11:34 right now as we watch this severe thunderstorm that's continuing pushing to the south. I'm going to see if I can get this to pop up. It may not let me do it from the chroma key here. Let me see if it'll let me. It's not wanting me to do it. So I'm going to step off camera real quick just to put up the information that I want to see from that severe thunderstorm warning, just because the warning itself is going to go until midnight. I may actually have to change my computer system just a moment. This is the area that we're looking at here. This is just about going to approach Columbus. Do we have one of the traffic cameras we can pop up? One looks a little better than the other, but whichever one you have up at the moment. This one, you can see the spray of the rain coming off of Interstate 65. This is right at County Road 1000 South. This is at mile marker 81. So we're talking south of Indy, almost as you approach Columbus, not quite there. And then the other traffic camera that we've been watching is right at Columbus. And when we go to that traffic camera, you'll be able to see that it's a very different look from where we are right now on this traffic camera. A little farther to the south. Storm hasn't gotten there at the other traffic camera. Colin, if you want to pop that one up as well. It's a much cleaner looking traffic camera, but it's also not seeing any weather moving through at the moment. You can start to see one of the little cables there from that traffic camera and some of the lightning off in the distance, but that cable is kind of swaying a bit, noting that the winds are starting to pick up. Looks like we may be starting to see some rain coming down there as well. Yeah, just starting to see some sheets of rain coming down. And I always like to watch the traffic too, because the traffic may be coming from an area where it's raining much heavier. In fact, looking at some of the vehicles slowing down as they get into some of that heavier rain, also to see if their emergency flashers are on, which is something we've seen a lot of times with this very heavy rain that's impacted some of the travel. This is going to continue pushing to the south. We've had numerous reports of some downed some downed trees, lots of power outages. Let me see if I can go back to the radar, see if my chroma key wants to let me interact with it yet again. We'll see if that's going to work. There we go. That's working a lot better. This is the storm that still has the severe thunderstorm warning with it. The stronger storms that we saw a little bit earlier were much farther to the north, and we're starting to see a lot more of these storm reports come in. I want to hit a couple of these. I mentioned some of these on our 11 o'clock newscast, but if you weren't tuned into our 11 o'clock newscast, which did stream right here as well, you might have missed this. Home siding damage. This is an Osborne Trails subdivision. This is 193rd and Spring Mill Road. So we're talking far to the north here, where the storm really started to initially produce that warning, that severe thunderstorm warning from the National Weather Service. This is just to the north and west of Westfield, where we had a 59-mile-per-hour wind gust, and I believe it was from that site right there. Yes, that was a thunderstorm wind gust that we saw. And then farther to the south and east from there, if my chroma key wants to work out with me. Numerous trees are down in a defined area of Westfield and Carmel, along with 2 reports of trees on houses. Now, this is again coming directly from a damage report out of the National Weather Service, so I don't have confirmation on exactly where those are located. Let me go to this damage report here, because I know a lot of you are watching from your phones because your power is out. But part of the reason why is this KUMP station very close to Castleton reported a 62-mile-per-hour wind gust as it moved through there. So there were a lot of gusty winds when this moved on by. Now, I have not queried this one yet. So several trees down in the southeast of Zionsville area. That's actually, I'm going to get in a little bit closer here and see where that's located. And the reason why I'm doing that is because it's not far from my side of town here. So we're looking at some trees that are down. It says southeast of Zionsville, but this is really right at the 465 interchange here. So you're looking at maybe 61st Street, I'm going to guess, just by off of the map. What we see here, I'll get in a little bit closer. So Muller Road and maybe 60th Street. Yeah, that's what we're seeing there. So this is the area that we're talking about, maybe approaching Lafayette Road, past Interstate 465 and 65 as well. Just kind of going through, and we haven't seen too much of any reports here on this side of town. Most of it's been on the north and northeast side, so I wanted to make sure I got that information in. I had not seen that come across just yet. That came across during our 11 o'clock newscast. The occurrence of that was at 10:22. This report is actually from earlier in the day. This was from the previous round of severe thunderstorms that happened during the afternoon. This was at 2:55 in the afternoon. So there was an area of thunderstorms that occurred here earlier in the day. That one helped to cool things down on the east side, which is why we didn't see that thunderstorm continue to the south. The one that we're seeing now, this is the thunderstorm that actually, in fact, if I zoom out a little bit, I'm going to do that for a couple of reasons. One, because this thunderstorm, if we back the radar up, if my radar will allow me to do it, let's see if it's going to allow me. Let me turn a switch on over here on the computer just to make sure that we have the interaction on. Bear with me. Should be able to do that now. That's the same storm that I believe created the power outages and the down trees here. So this storm essentially came out of Lebanon. It's not the same storm that created all of the damage reports into parts of Westfield. There's my... Let's actually go back an hour, because I think it's going to show you a little bit of a better view of where that storm is moving through. So this is the cell. There was a severe thunderstorm warning that came out of Boone County, moved really across Indy, did not actually have the downtown area under the severe thunderstorm warning, but now it's continued to pick up in intensity as it's pushed to the south and east. Now, I got to tell you, it doesn't look as impressive on radar as it once did. While we have the radar in play, and now that I can interact here, let's turn on the velocity. Let's put this back to what's happening right now. And we're going to see that some of these brighter reds are showing up. It doesn't look nearly as impressive as it did just a little bit ago when the warning was issued. We'll put this back into motion. Probably going to see some brighter spots that'll show up. Yeah, you can see a couple here and there. Definitely see that it's weakened quite a bit, but probably some gusty winds coming through Columbus right now. Interstate 65 is going to be certainly a rough drive. Let's go back to the traffic cameras if you want to, Colin, there, and you'll see that the previous traffic camera that we were looking at certainly showing a lot of rain coming down, and you can still see those sheets of rain and the street lights there. This is right at State Road 46, so this is right at Columbus in Bartholomew County, and heavy rain's coming down. Not seeing as much wind gust here, and I have been watching this kind of off camera, and I haven't seen the winds be terribly strong at this location. But there has been a lot of heavy rain. Again, if you're just tuning in, I'm meteorologist Robb Ellis here streaming on WTHR+. It is just past 11:41. We still do have a severe thunderstorm warning that's in place for Bartholomew County, for Shelby County, parts of Shelby County, and even Johnson County, although for Johnson County, things have certainly improved. You're looking at a live traffic camera there of Interstate 65 right at Columbus. We're watching this severe thunderstorm as it approaches. Things are improving a bit there. Back to the radar, we'll show you what we're tracking here. Tracking the gusty winds. What I'm looking at are the brighter colors here. You see them at the beginning of this loop. They're pretty bright as it approaches Columbus, but we're starting to see this fade out just a little bit. The storm is likely weakening a good bit. And when you see it on the actual, what we call reflectivity radar, you'll see that it doesn't look nearly as strong as it once did. Still being fed by this strong outflow boundary. I've been talking a lot about these outflow boundaries, and this time of year, it is really, our entire forecast is defined by these. Once one storm gets going, you get that heating and that humid air that's in place, the heating of the day, almost like a pot of water, it boils over. You get a storm to develop, it puts down a lot of heavy rain. That heavy rain is much cooler, hits the ground, has nowhere to go, it spreads out in all directions. This is almost like a little miniature cold front of that colder air spreading out in all directions. That can become the new focal point. It's almost like like a bulldozer pushing out ahead of that humid air, that hot humid air, and lifting it, and it forms more and more thunderstorms. That's why this is going to continue pushing to the south, including likely through Bloomington. We do not have a severe thunderstorm warning here, but likely we'll see some storms roll on through. This is going to go until midnight. I don't know that we'll stay with us all the way to midnight. Just wanted to kind of let people know, especially for those that have lost power. I know that there are a lot of you that are tuned in or maybe watching on Facebook. Yes, we know there's been a pretty strong storm that's rolled through Hamilton County. A few folks asked about why we didn't get phone alerts, why your phone didn't go off like it would for a tornado warning. There is a reason for that. Severe thunderstorm warning like this one, this does not trigger your phone to emergency alert unless you have it set up for special alerts like through our app. A regular severe thunderstorm warning does not do that. If it's a destructive severe thunderstorm warning, that's a severe thunderstorm warning that has 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. We don't see those very often. Or it has 2 3/4 inch diameter hail. We're talking hail the size of tennis balls at that point. That's a destructive severe thunderstorm warning. That's not what these were. Those will set off your emergency alert on your phone, where your phone will go off automatically. A tornado will do that, or a flash flood warning that's a destructive flash flood warning, what they call a considerable flash flood warning. These, I hate to call them this, run-of-the-mill severe thunderstorm warnings will not do that. But for the folks in Westfield or in the Carmel area, I know you had a lot of strong winds come through. You had a lot of damage. Let me remove this from the screen here. You had, in a few pockets of areas, some extremely strong winds that led to some trees coming down and a good bit of power outages, also some additional power outages. I think at last check we had about 7,700 outages from the Duke Energy, and we had 4,400. That was the last time I heard it from AES. Probably going to end up seeing a little bit more than that. Very quickly, I did want to mention this. I don't want to leave this out. We are watching this complex of thunderstorms as well. It's continuing to drift mostly to the south, but there's a little bit of a southeast component. There's another one of those outflow boundaries that I was telling you about. This is going to move into an area that has not been worked over. I think we'll probably end up seeing this at least hold together. There may be some hail within this. These do not have severe thunderstorm warnings at the moment, but it does bear watching. We could probably see at least a stormy night. We are continuing to lose some of the energy that we had earlier in the day. And very briefly, I did just want to mention there's a flood warning that's in place until 2 a.m. This is going to include parts of Hamilton County as well as Marion County for just the ongoing heavy rain that we saw earlier and still wrapping up some of this heavy downpours that's coming down anywhere from Noblesville through Geist, over to Greenfield, up to Anderson, maybe even as far east as Newcastle. The severe thunderstorm warning is farther to the south. It looks like the National Weather Service has also issued an additional flood warning right there. That one's going to go until 2:45. It'll pop back up on the screen since I've got it in a loop mode here. Farther to the south, this is the severe thunderstorm warning that we're tracking. This one's starting to be trimmed back. Looks like they're going to keep it in place for part of Johnson County, but definitely includes Bartholomew County, the southwestern portion here of Shelby County. This is going to include the city of Columbus. This is going to include Hope. This is going to include Elizabethtown, Hartsville. We're looking at Clifford there, and then as I get in a little bit closer, still seeing the rain wrap up in the southwestern portion of Shelby County, Flat Rock, Lewis Creek, Mount Auburn. Just trying to name some towns here since I know a lot of you may be watching on your mobile device. You may be watching on your phone, and sometimes you can't see these names when you're in that smaller screen. I'm trying to make sure that I'm keeping everyone updated, not just those that are in the path, but some of you I know are still without power, and you're trying to keep an eye on what's going on. We have seen, again, those reports of a good number of power outages. If you're in Hamilton County, you may have lost power, and you may be tuning in going, hey, what happened? What's going on? Don't have an estimated time on any of the power outages to come back. I know they are looking at numbers in the thousands as far as customers that are without power. Most of those are on the north or northeast side of Indianapolis, all the way up through Carmel and into Westfield as well. Westfield had a wind gust come through of 59 to 62 miles per hour, and it looks like a couple of trees came down. This part of the storm has really weakened. In fact, I think the National Weather Service is probably going to end up canceling this, or at least allowing it to expire once we get to midnight. However, this cell looks pretty strong, and my map wants to move there on me. Sensitivity's turned up just a bit, but this cell is looking pretty strong, maybe even some small hail. As I said, this part of the atmosphere has not been worked over very much today. There were a few areas here that seems like they've gotten rainstorm after rainstorm after rainstorm. But in this part of central Indiana, you can see that outflow boundary continuing to push through and just haven't quite used up that heat and humidity that was in place earlier in the day. I'm going to give this another couple of minutes or so, and then I think we'll leave you, as most of you are seeing the rain calm down a bit. It's more of a steady rain. Let me go back to the lightning very quickly. It's still ongoing lightning threat, probably through the next several hours or so, with all of these storms moving through. I don't see my lightning populating, and I'm unsure why. I may not have the data showing up, but there's definitely some ongoing lightning. We've seen it in a lot of the traffic cameras that we've been watching. This cell, they're still continuing to trim it back. It's going to go for another 12 minutes or so. I'm going to hop off of here at 11:50. Because I think we're pretty good after that point. Again, still some ongoing flooding. If you're going to be traveling up Interstate 69 or east on 70, just know that the roadways are at the very least going to be wet. Most of the gusty winds have died down. Still some gusty winds farther to the south. And if you're heading Interstate 74, if you're leaving Indy, maybe heading over to Champaign, this is going to be a real rough journey for you, because this is some very heavy rain. And now you can see some of the lightning. In fact, most of the lightning that I'm seeing right now is with this storm cell that's close to Danville, really close to Petersburg. And very quickly, I just want to look at maybe some of the winds with that. That has an interesting signature showing up in the reflectivity. Let's see if the velocity shows us anything. Nothing there I'm seeing that has me too concerned. We'll continue to watch it. Let me actually put the base velocity on there just to see. Yeah, there's a couple of spikes here. Those brighter colors that you see that pop up, likely some bursts of gusty wind, nothing severe at the moment. We are a little bit a ways from the radar, so we're not seeing what's happening right at the surface, but I'm not as concerned about this one as maybe I was when I looked at the regular radar presentation right there, which shows me maybe a little bit of small hail that's continuing to pop up. Again, we have the sensitivity on the radar turned way up so I can see all of those extra features, those outflow boundaries that you can see right here. As long as that continues pushing to the south, there's your rain that's happening in Bloomington right now, and probably a little bit of lightning as well. Not as much as that other cell, but there's a couple of lightning strikes that have popped up near Ellettsville, near Bloomington, and this is probably just going to continue to push to the south. There's actually two outflow boundaries here. See how it almost makes a little bit of an indentation? One's kind of curving this way, and then there's a point, and then another one dropping down. Where that point is located is where really two outflow boundaries are coming together, almost like you're zipping up a zipper, and that's exactly what it looks like. You're zipping it up, and that's where the storms form, right there. Because those two are coming together, they actually give a little bit of an extra boost to the atmosphere, a little bit of extra lift. This is probably just going to continue pushing south. Same thing with this cell, but this one's really not looking as strong as it once was. I don't know, there's a couple of little features there that may show some gusty winds moving through Columbus. Doesn't look as impressive on the traffic camera. I'm just seeing out of the corner of my eye. So really, I think this is going to be pretty much wrapping up as it pushes to the south. Again, keep it tuned right here. I believe our desk person is going to put this back on the radar so that you'll be able to watch the radar over the next couple of hours or so, as long as things remain quiet. And as long as we have no other severe thunderstorm warnings. If we do, I'll be back here on the stream. But in the meantime, stay safe out there. Hopefully, if you're one of the folks that are watching on your mobile device, you're watching on Facebook, hopefully your power will come back on soon. In the meantime, have a safe night, and keep it tuned right here to WTHR+.